mastering for different publishing platforms.
Yeah. So for this one, we're just going to go this way, like a very brief overview, but just something to raise a little awareness on. Let's say you've done your super awesome music video, you've built your like super cool game. Now you want to release it. You've got all the sound. How do you make sure that the sound you've made is going to sound as intended to the people who are going to be playing it and watching it? So we'll start with linear media first. There's like a bunch of categories these days. For most of you guys, you're probably doing like short films and music videos. That's going to be on YouTube, Vimeo, Spotify, or podcasts. That's tends to always be in stereo. And these online medias have like their mastering standards. You might come across the term like broadcasting standards that basically determine how loud the sound is going to be before it'll start to get compressed by YouTube. It's by YouTube system, and same with Spotify. And so there's just something to be aware about that. When you play online, it's probably going to come out of either someone's small laptop speakers or like their headphones or like even their phone is just a single mono speaker. And so you have to be aware of that. Spatialization with stereo might not translate well. Moving on to like, let's say you're doing a bit more big budget stuff. Let's say you've got a short film, an indie film. That's when you have cinema. Like you go to TGC or like MBO cinema. That's like full 5-1 surround, right? Like you sit in the theater, there's a speaker behind you that's doing all this big bass. You got your speaker in the front that's doing all the dialogue, then left and right, and then so front, left, right, back, left, back, right. Those are the other 4 speakers that are playing out the music and the sound.
Don't forget the subwoofer, man.
The subwoofer, that's the one right at the back playing your bass. So 5-1 surround, that represents like 5 speakers plus the 1 sub bass. That's what 5-1 means. In this case, it's just being aware that the sound that you make is going to sound very differently from when you've been like testing it out on your headphones to when you suddenly spread it out amongst like 6 speakers. So that's just something to be aware of. TV and radio, they have their own broadcasting standards, but most of the time it's also stereo because it's just whatever your TV speakers are playing out, or your car. If you're listening to car radio, that one maybe depends on your car, maybe only 2 speakers, maybe 4 speakers, 2 on the front, 2 in the back.
And if you're into getting Cadillacs, you might want to put in a subwoofer there, and you'll get those people in my V's like boom, 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 boom outside.
Yeah, and so all these different speakers, like how many and what quality, are going to change how your sound is going to sound at the end. So when you're mixing the music, it is usually advised for that mixer the mastering engineer even to like play out that track on all of as many devices as he can to make sure it sounds acceptable on all of them. Mm-hmm. The last one in linear media is like CVs and DVDs, which most of the time I'm also just going to go to a player, and I don't know, maybe you have an old Walkman DVD CD player for music, or it plays through your TV screen again. So most of the time also stereo. Moving on to interactive media. So this is your games, your apps. A lot of the times, it's also going to be in stereo, and it's going to be in your headphones, but they're going to be plugged into different devices. So if you plug into your PC, like MacBook, Windows, whatever, it's usually stereo. So that's okay, that's expected. Mobile devices, a bit different, because they only have one audio jack usually, and the speaker is in mono. So if you have a track that's got a lot of cool stereo effects, like you've got an echo coming in the left ear, and then you turn around a horror, then it's like a jump scare, and the echo comes from the right ear. In mono speakers, that effect is going to vanish, if not lessen entirely. So it's something to be aware of. But as soon as you plug in headphones, stereo, it's fine. Plug-in consoles are similar to TV. It's whatever speakers your TV are, so that's okay. Portable consoles, though, like the Nintendo Switch. So Nintendo Switch in particular has like a pseudo mono speaker. It's one speaker, but it's trying to replicate the stereo effect. But of course, when you dock the Switch, becomes a plug-in console. It's back to your TV again. So the sound you make is going to sound good on both. I'm going to just carry on, Elmer?
No. I'm excluding. Like when you said Nintendo Switch, I was just suddenly remember the project that we did, Ageless. That was fun. That we had to optimize the music for Switch and PC, so that was fun.
Oof. Yeah, because it does sound different between good headphones plug into your computer or like the Switch's single mono speaker.
Yeah, somewhat mono, but they try to make it stereo-ish kind of thing. It's a complicated thing with Switch.
Yeah. For the bottom line for you guys is just to be aware that it will sound different based on what hardware it's being played out of. So just be aware of it and talk to your mastering guy or your sound guy to just double check and make sure it sounds good on everything. As many devices as you can, play it on a friend's Switch, get a friend's Android phone, put it in somebody's car, on a CD or a pen drive, just to hear how it sounds in these environments. Just to give you a rough idea.
Mhm.
One very quick thing, but I mentioned virtual reality. This is like a whole other area of spatial audio where it's not just left, right, stereo channels. It's doing those two channels, but trying to make it sound like it's coming from out behind you, from in front of you, from like beneath you, like a whole range of
Mhm.
motion. So that's like what's currently being developed right now, and something to be aware of. Like if you want to get into this, you could do some research on like you can search sometimes like binaural audio or 360 spatialization if you want to just Google that later. If you ever decide to get into VR apps or AR apps.
So that's basically the job of the mastering engineer. And like there's like so in a way, in that workflow kind of thing, it's kind of like everybody has a role to play. So if one person like breaks down, we have to make sure that like so sometimes in an audio team, some people might have multiple different roles. Like for example, if you don't mind me mentioning, Jans,
Yes.
if you're the project manager at the same time, you're also like sometimes the audio implementer or the mastering engineer.
Yeah, so like of course in Medibeats I work with like a really great, awesome team, a production team who do a lot of sound and music. But oftentimes based on like if you've got multiple projects coming in and we're all like we have to all pull our weight and do different things. So officially main job, project manager. But then sometimes like for ages I pitch in and so maybe doing some sound design or like editing some video or like for a soundtrack, I might be pulled in to do the mix and then the mastering. So it very much for you guys, especially if you're doing like little indie music video short films or games, you may only have one or two people. Like the chat we have is for large scope, the full it can be. Sometimes you may just have one or two sound people who are just doing all the music is one person and all the sound is one person.
Oh, that's very relatable, especially for indie stuff.
Yeah, when you have maybe a lot more time but not enough, not much money, and not much budget for it. So you can that is the trade-off usually of the budget versus the money of if you only have one or two people doing it, they can do it, but it will take time because you got to do it in sequence, and it will be based on their expertise. But like getting started, it's totally nothing to be like ashamed of. It's totally valid. It's like as you just do more projects and you do more films and like games, you will learn a lot about it, and hopefully you get to know your sound person a lot better too.
Cool.
Josh,
Can I just add on a little bit more? So,
Yeah, sure.
just to kind of like wrap it up, also like do take care of your health also, because in a small team also like you may have to wear multiple hats and like do manage your time to yourself also. Just take care of your health, please. This crunch is not worth it.
Yeah. So if you guys are not super familiar with the term, Dasha, do you want to just explain a bit what that means?
So crunch is basically like you're overworking yourself, and it's like you either don't have enough time to finish everything, so you try to sacrifice some of your health or like sleeping time to just finish all your work, or like last minute work, or all of those stuff. Why it's dangerous is because it can lead to burnout, and like when you burn out, you cannot function. Bad examples are like the news that is going on around like CD Projekt Red or like Naughty Dogs. Crunch culture is a very real thing here in game dev, and I'm very sure that all, if not most of you, have experienced like this in one way or another. So don't treat it as a joke. Please do
breaks.
take proper time. Yeah, take proper time for yourself and in your projects.
Yeah, maybe just an advice for the young ones out there. Do practice this. I actually learned this from my coworker as well. He came for the talk the previous time as well. So I'm gonna quote him on this. Do 45 minutes of rest, 15 minutes of break. Not and when you work, try not to work more than 8 hours a day.
Yeah, there comes like a certain point where even if you want to like pull an all-nighter, the body just like doesn't have the energy, or the brain doesn't have that capability anymore. So even if you push for like another 2 hours to try and get the deadline in, you're going to start making mistakes. You're going to let things slip by. The quality will suffer, and so it's much better to just take a nap, uh, for like at least an hour, get a good night's sleep, and then just come to it in the morning when you're refreshed and able to do work. You'll find that you will work quicker and better after that rest than trying to crunch it all night.
There's something that like me and Jens, we both probably know this, but I want to confirm this with Darshan and the rest of the team as well. So there's a term in audio we call ear fatigue. Is once you listen to something that's like way too long, you have this bias that even if it's bad, it sounds good.
Yeah, that's very real. And sometimes you also get so used to the sounds that you feel like, it's okay, like just get it through. And that can lower the bar of what good sound is also. So you don't want that to happen.
Yeah, it's very much like it is a like physical thing where when you listen to the same sound, like if you go into a club, for example, and you hear that like pounding boom bassy music for like a few hours, as soon as you step outside, suddenly your ears are ringing and you like can't hear very well. That's because your ears are getting the diaphragm in your eardrum is getting loose. It's like it's too exposed to the sound, and so it's not as sensitive anymore. And that's why suddenly, if you're mixing a track, you'll lose sensitivity. Suddenly, the highs will not sound as high frequency. Oh, so I push higher, and then later you listen in the morning. How come everything's so sharp on? So you
Oh
want to
yeah.
avoid that happening. For this reason as well, that's why the mix engineer and the mastering engineer are usually two different people, if possible. In film as well, you might just have another person with a fresh set of eyes and ears just to take another look at it and then do their thing. If you can't afford that, let's say you're just a small group and it's just one guy doing the film and one guy doing the sound, take some breaks, like rest your ears, do a different task that doesn't require your ears, maybe some organizing, and then come back to it like a few hours later.
So it's very real. So guys, remember to drink water, remember to stay healthy and stay safe.
Stay safe, take care of yourself.
I guess you can go to the last slide, like ways to contact us and stuff like that.
Yeah. So thanks so much. That is going to be it for us in our talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was super great having you. Thank you so much to my co-speakers as well. Elmer Ho, you can find him as Elmer Draco on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, me on LinkedIn, and Darshan on Twitter.